Okay, men, we are going to start. This is Jeremy Shavy, and I'm really excited to have you men on the phone call here with us this evening. Part of this is to offer some opportunity to ask some questions as needed later on in the call, but more so, we want to introduce you all to the facilitators, because not all of you know all of the facilitators, and also to cover some logistics, etc. So I'm going to turn it over to our resident elder, Grandfather Mowgli, to walk us in with an opening prayer. Grandfather Mowgli.
Welcome, my brothers. Thank you for joining this circle. Welcome to the Wildman within us all. He has called us here to this circle. He has medicine for all of us. I ask that you find the cord that connects you to the center of the earth. Imagine it or try and get a kinesthetic sense of it. Breathing into your heart. Breathing into your heart. Let your connection to the part of you that is not alien to this world, to the part of you that's called by nature. Let that part sit. Give it a voice. Let us do good work here together. Thank you for coming, my brothers. I'm looking forward to being in physical presence with you.
Thank you. And this is James Mayfield Smith. Welcome, men. I'm going to provide just a few brief opening words about what we're up to today. Context for this call is 4 years ago, 5 facilitators came together and we created a Calling the Wild Man initiation, where we were calling forth that part of us, the healthy, sacred masculine within us. The second year, we gathered together and created the Claiming the Wild Man, where we really wanted to claim this wild man inside of us. And then last year with Embodying the Wild Man, we're really focused on embodying this primal part of us that sometimes loses its presence with us, or at least in me, when I am in my job or in my relationships or in my duties in this world and in this society we're in. And this year, this 4th annual Wild Man Gathering is Evolving the Wild Man, where we get to really take a look at what the wild man has been like up to now and what's the future that we're leaning into. What's the sacred masculine that is being called for, that is being asked for in this world? And just briefly, I want to introduce to you this Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the story we'll be using, that'll be weaving through as a thread or an arc through this weekend. Gilgamesh was the king of Uruk. He was a tyrant king, so he was an example of the shadow wild man. So I want you to just feel into you for the shadow wild man that lives in you, the part of you that maybe is a tyrant or a bully. Or maybe in you, it's a part of you that's impotent or an absent king and not really taking your throne. And so he was oppressing his people. And so the gods sent to the people of Uruk to help them a true wild man that they created and sent him with Enkidu. And he's an example of the healthy wild man. And so I want you to feel into your body, do you know what that feels like? What does this healthy wild man feel like? And so that's what we're up to with this whole wild man thing of distinguishing between the two and really being able to live from our healthy wild man, to really channel Enkidu living in us and then bringing that back as a blessing to the world. And so just wanted to kind of put that out there to let that kind of work in your psyche as we continue with this call. Be thinking about your healthy wild man and how that might show up. And what I'd like to do is turn this back over to Jeremy Shavy. This man is really the one who gathered us all together, who said, you know, it's time. I have men asking for this, and we're the guys to do it. Let's step forward and offer this wild man gathering. And so Jeremy is an ecologist. He's a botanist. He saves wild forests for a living, and he is a man on purpose. And I'd like to hand it over to him to take us further into this call.
Thanks, James. So Yeah, thank you again, guys, for taking some time out this evening to drop in with us. Part of the purpose for this call is to help us all take that next step closer to our commitment to arriving in a couple of weeks. You know, we all have, for the most part, made the first step, which is saying, I'm coming, and doing what's necessary to take care of that responsibility. And now the second step of that is starting to tune in with our voices and preparing ourselves. And preparing ourselves for what? For this experience that we've had. Many of you men have been with us before. Some of you have been with us once or twice. Some of you have been with us every year. And some of you, this is going to be your first time. Right now, we have just a little over 50 men who are going to be gathering here with us in the Southern Appalachian Mountains. We have been hosting this gathering here in the Southern Appalachian Mountains for the past 4 years. And our dear friend and another elder of ours, Brad Collins, played a major role in bringing us all together and helping us to step up into becoming not only better men for one another in terms of listening and being present for one another, but also how to be better stewards for the earth and how to be better stewards for the feminine and how to be responsible beings in this world. And so really want to honor the sixth seat that he has always held in our council here. And that really is the essence of what our work here is with the Wildman. It is diving into, as James said, our healthy masculine. What is that part of ourself that, similar to what the women's movement has been doing in reclaiming the goddess, like claiming our connection with the divine and what our sacred work here is in the world, how to be in right relations with our vocation, with the time that we spend in the world, not only on our own, but also in service, in work, and in play. And so our experience with this particular format for our weekend together is based around ceremony and being in a continuum together to create an opportunity that will allow us to step outside of the normal constructs of our mind and our beliefs and how we hold ourselves, and to get into that place that's somewhere in that balance between play and doing the really deep interpersonal work, that when we show up together, we are giving ourselves permission to let go of what we think we are, what other people think we think other people are supposed to think we are, and touch ourselves in group context as well as deep within ourselves. Someone who must have called in late, if you could please put your phone on mute to cut down on the background noise, that'd be really appreciated. Thank you. So our experience together here in a few weeks is going to be based on the 4 elements. And so I'm going to just leave that as kind of a ... because most of you men know that already. Most of you men know the stage that has been set. And what we really want to know is why you chose to come. So I'm going to turn it over to Six Owls to welcome you men all into the circle one at a time. So Six, over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. So welcome, everybody. So like Jeremy said, we're going to have a chance for each one of you men to check in. And really what I'd like to know is one, where you're from, and then two, if you can state the intention that you're bringing to the weekend. And if we can keep it down to a sentence, we've got a bunch of names to get through. If we can keep it to about a sentence of what your intention is for the weekend, and I'm going to call you all out. I wrote down the names, and I know there's a few people that joined after the call started, so we'll get to you guys last. And just a quick reminder to hit the mute button or unmute yourself before you start speaking, and then after you go, then hit the mute button again. So we're going to start off with Mike Conroy.
Gentlemen, my intention for this evening is to be in the presence of my brothers. Six, the time that we spent together was absolutely amazing. And Jeremy, I always look forward to spending time with you and all the high brothers on this call. Really excited about the recap ceremony and the firewalking ceremony. I think that will be a next level up for me. Can't wait to see you guys and get wild.
Oh, welcome. Thanks, Mike. We're going to go to Dominic.
Hello, my name is Dominic. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And my intention for the week or the weekend is to be breaking down the barriers that I've learned in my mind of what I'm supposed to, or what I am and what I'm supposed to be, and just really making connections and solid connections with these other men in the forest and myself. So thank you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, thanks, Dominic. We're going to move to Kennedy.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Oneself. I live in Asheville area, and I've had such a blessed life where I feel like I've deeply been able to connect with my healthy wild man. And I feel really grateful to be able to connect with this deep aspect of the masculine coming together, to be able to share that and to be also inspired by other people embodying their healthy masculine. Right? We don't have that many opportunities to have these positive influences and have this healthy strength, masculine energy. And I'm so grateful to be able to rally around with my brothers and to see how powerful and gentle we can be. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Beautiful. Jeff, you're up.
Hey everybody, Jeff from Asheville. Mainly what drew me to this gathering is just thinking about connecting more deeply with my kind of primitive primal nature and also with nature.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Now we're going to go to my man Luke in Kansas City. You got to unmute your phone, Luke.
Yep. There we go. Luke from Kansas City. My intention for going to this gathering is to kind of fill out my how would you say that? Like, I would say to embody the more healthy aspects of the masculine, and to kind of really fill out in this stage of maturation that I'm kind of going through. So to kind of become more myself, I would say, part of my intention is the main intention.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, 6, man. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be a reunion. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to it too.
Me too. I'm going to go to Billiam next. Billiam.
Hey, I'm here.
Gotta hit the. There you go.
Got me? Okay, good. Yep, Billiam. You guys gave me that name from Bill Bauer, somehow Billiam. I use that a lot. This is going to be my 4th Wildman. So my intention, of course, is present moment, and that's what for me, evolution is about, that present moment, and to reunite with the tribe. I miss Asheville, so I'll be up there, and looking forward to what unfolds in the storytelling and the connections that we all have.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you and your big smiling face real soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next we have Jesse.
Hey, brothers. Jesse Warner here. Red Bear Dreaming from Michigan. I'm really excited. I just happened to be visiting Patrick's land to visit my dear brother Andrew Cutta, and being present for this experience is a great joy for me. My intention is to surrender, to drop in, to be surprised by what I experience, and to support any man that I can in any way that I can.
Awesome. Oh,
Miigwech Brothers.
thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. And I just want to ask everybody who hasn't gone yet to just really see if you can think about it before it's your turn. And really, we want to make these go a little bit quicker. I'm getting a text here that we're going to run out of time, and I want to make sure we get to everybody. So we're going to go to Tom.
This is Tom Warner from Cincinnati. I have not found I haven't found my masculine self that I'm comfortable with. And so I think that's my searching. So that's where I'm coming from for this weekend. Thank you.
Excellent. I think you're in the right place, Tom. We're going to move to Stuart.
Hey, this is Stuart from Asheville. This will be my second Wildman, and my intention for the weekend is to reconnect with all my brothers and to purge anger and connect more with my heart. And I feel like I'm going through a new birth in this past 6 months, so that's my intention. Oh.
Excellent. Next, we have Ken. Ken, you got to hit your mute button.
Yeah, I got it, buddy. Hey, yeah, I'm Ken Tarter from Pittsburgh, and I found out about the Wild Man from Grandfather Mowgli. We're doing the priest process with him, and I just want to dial in tonight to see what it's all about. Hopefully, take it from there.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that we have you on the call, Ken. Okay. So I know there's a few people on the line that I don't have your names yet. So if you're on the phone and you haven't talked yet, tell me your name and we'll try to do them one at a time.
This is Russ Greco from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
All right, Russ. And what is your intention for the weekend, Russ?
I am looking to find my courage. I think that's it in a nutshell.
Excellent. Well, the fire initiation's always been one for me to find my courage. So I hope it'll be the same for you. Welcome to the call, Russ.
Thank you.
Who else do we have who hasn't spoken yet?
Benjamin's here.
Benjamin, what is your intention for the weekend?
My intention is first and foremost to support the men by making music with Jeremy during the breath work and to help facilitate a group afterward. And then whatever other benefit I got on top of that is just gravy.
Beautiful. Well, I love being in ceremony with you, brother. Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Oh. Any other men that have not spoken yet? Going once, going twice. All right, so now I'm going to introduce those of you who do not know our brother James. James is a true magician. He is a storyteller. He is a shaman. He is a walker between worlds, and he is a changer of lives. Turning it over to you, Brother James.
Thank you, Six. Thank you. And my purpose here is I'm going to introduce this next little bit here where we're going to introduce the elemental initiations. We're just going to briefly give you a little taste of what's coming. I love the way we designed this weekend because unlike other weekends that I also love and am a part of and staff where we really work with the wounds and do a lot of shadow work, we don't do any of that. What we do instead is give an opportunity for us to step into different energies that are really helpful in a man's life of earth, air, fire, and water, and also the thread of the sacred mythos that goes through that. So this is an opportunity for you to sit back and kind of feel in as each of these facilitators speak just a tiny bit into what we can expect as we step into these different energies. So I'd like to turn this back over to Six to talk about our air initiation.
Thanks, Brother James. So the air, and that is so beautiful, and I agree. This is about experiencing these energies rather than talking about these energies. And the initiation I'm going to be offering is the one of air, and we have a ceremony, an ancient ceremony, a breathwork ceremony, and we all lay down, and there's some of the brothers are going to play live. I'm going to ask you guys to hit mute. Some of the brothers will be playing live music, and we're all going to lay down on the ground, and we're going to breathe in a certain way that's going to change our consciousness. It's going to change our reality. It's going to allow us to step out of the space-time continuum and to experience reality through a new set of glasses. And it's everybody's experience is different. It's kind of like a dream. And it's one of the most powerful processes of transformation I've ever been introduced to. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. Instead, I'm just going to pass the talking stick over to another beautiful man that's on the call, and that is Grandfather Mowgli. And Grandfather's been doing this work probably longer than I've been alive. And if there's anyone that I know that embodies these elements, that walks his talk, it is this man here. So I'm passing it with love to Grandfather.
Thank you so much, Six Hours. That's really touching to me. Thank you. I'm going to talk about the Earth initiation. And the Earth, some people say, I say, is our mother, but maybe the Earth is our father, or maybe the Earth is both. But the Earth is what birthed us. And when we're finished with our earthly life, the Earth will take our energies, take our bodies back. And out of that take back will come new life. Because after birth, after every birth, comes death. And after every death comes birth. I've been buried many times. I've smelled the earth. I've felt at home. I've surrendered as if I was being cradled. I trusted the sacred process. And we intend to give you that experience as well. So I'm going to pass the talking stick next to Jeremy Shavy, who I just have so much admiration for because this is really his baby. This whole thing is really his baby, and he's made this happen. His genius is just mind-blowing to me. And he's actually going to be talking for a different Jeremy, who's in Europe right now, who is our brother that does the firewalks. But I don't want to step on his thing, so Brother Jeremy, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm on the phone so everybody doesn't see my face being red right now. So there's two Jeremys that help facilitate this. So for those of you who this is going to be your first year, I've for some reason become number one and he's become number two. And so we're looking for a third so that we could have a trifecta, but we'll see what happens there. So I'm going to introduce Jeremy's work a little bit here for the firewalk. It's a big part of the experience this year in the firewalk is really touching into where that Phoenix energy lies within each of us. Where do we go when we surrender, when we let go, when we die, and we die to the earth and to the fire, and we become the new fuel that's going to feed the flame, feed the heat. And so Jeremy Pager is a really, really dear brother who's been walking the Red Road and is a part of the Lakota Nation. And his medicine is really coming from Toltec traditions as well. And he's also a pipe carrier. He will be ushering us through the experience of preparing the fire in ceremony and bringing ourselves to a threshold place within. Where are we ready to surpass? What beliefs are we ready to suspend and relinquish so that we can be birthed and walk with purpose towards something greater, something more whole and more wholesome. And most of us will then walk the fire. And not everyone will, but most people will. And when it's your time, you will know. So that will be Jeremy. And since I will be leading on the water ceremony, I will go ahead and share a little bit about that. So every year we have morphed in the landscape and with the land to see how the water speaks to us. A big part of the water ceremony is often left incomplete, if you will. And I don't mean incomplete by not being thought of and given attention to, but just as water flows and moves around physical objects, so too will the current of our experience together throughout the weekend. And so that very much informs our experience in the water. However, I will speak to the elements that play. Um, the land that we're going to be on was recently purchased by one of the Wildmen in our Asheville community here, and it's a beautiful property that has water flowing on two sides. I think he has almost a mile and a half of waterfront on his property, and so we're going to be gathering for the water ritual at the confluence where two streams come together and feeling the subtle current pool of varying temperature water and varying uh, vibrations of the water and how that flows over our body and our person. So, so that'll be our experience on Sunday, sort of a re-immersion and a recommitment to what it is that we are rebirthing into in this time. What are we emerging out of the water into? So that said, these touch into the four elements that we will be weaving together throughout the weekend. However, sometimes a little bit of conscious energy is required in order to tie this together, a little bit of spirit, a little bit of ingenuity, a little genius. And so our method for bringing that to life is through myth. And not just story, but living myth. Living myth that is informed by the experience as we move and by the group of men who come together. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to our resident applied mythologist, which is how I first met him, and under that flag, and it perked my attention. I knew we were going to be friends instantly, and so I'm going to turn it back over to James to introduce his segment.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. So I was in a year-long course in applied mythology where I got that moniker, and I just absolutely continue to see the power of story in our lives and how story is our own narrative that we're living and what we believe is possible for ourselves, for someone like us in the world, and what we believe is possible in the world is really the boxes that we live in. And so doing story work is really powerful because it can open up the box and can make new things possible. And so I bring the power of story to weave into the initiations by sharing a tale that allows you to kind of just rest and relax. Oh, it's just a story. but story is so powerful because we have evolved with it for thousands of years. Story has been the vehicle for us to learn, oh, don't eat this and don't go there and do this. And so even though we relax when we hear a story, our brains perk up and we remember what we learned via story. So this year, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the very first tale that we have in its full rendition that we pulled from the stones of ancient Sumeria. And so I love this because we're working with evolving the Wildman, and we're getting to work with this as a base, and then we're being able to evolve it on. So as we work with Gilgamesh, this tyrant king, you get an opportunity to connect within yourself, to drop down into how does my shadow Wildman show up? And when we work with Enkidu, you get to work with, well, how am I like that? How has my healthy Wildman shown up, and how is it calling to me? And as this story goes through oppression and privilege and brotherhood and fun and excitement and adventure, you can really connect to the things in your own life and how that shows up. And as it goes to temptation and betrayal and death and grief and the discovery of our core truths, then it invites you into also, in a very safe way, to start to work with these energies in your life. So really looking forward to sharing that with you, and just invite you as you continue for these next couple weeks to lean in your life, to start to notice, what are the stories that I'm living? What's the tale, the narrative that I've been weaving and that has been a box in my life and also that has opened up new things for me? I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremy. This next part of our call is going to be the logistics part of what you need, what you need to bring with you, and then we're going to open it up into some questions as well. So it's going to be an opportunity for you to ask any lingering questions you might have.
Great. Thanks, James. So for those of you who don't know Patrick Hennessy, again, he has been a part of the Wildman community for a little over a year. I'm going to ask, somebody does not have their phone on mute, and we're getting some paper shuffling or something. Hello. Well, I guess I'll just somebody's missing out. There we go. So, a few things that we want to just touch base in here. I want to briefly overview the schedule. We'll send a schedule to you in the next week or so. Most of you already have the gear list as well as the directions. I highly suggest using the directions on that were emailed to you instead of using your GPS. People have certainly had completely fine times using GPS getting out to Patrick, and some people have not. I know that I used the GPS first time going out, and it had me going down weird, crazy back roads, and that weren't even roads; they were people's driveways. So have those notes, at least have the directions with you. So what we're looking at is, for those of you who are not part of the core staff or support staff who will be with us Thursday night to begin setting up and setting tone, we will be gathering up on Friday the 8th. We just ask that men be there and have your camp set up by 5:30, so sometime to arrive between 3:30 and 5:30. If you need to arrive a little earlier, that's fine, and if you want to help pitch in with some of the folks who are helping get things ready, that is fine as well. The food does not start for everyone until Friday dinner for everyone who will be there Thursday night. For the core staff and facilitator team, we will have food Friday morning and Friday lunch. This is the first year that we have a man making the food for us, so we're pretty excited for that. The last 3 years, we've had some fantastic ladies make the food for us, and we've had everything from amazing food and not enough to, what are we eating? And so we're really excited about the food this year. This man has worked with our community in preparing food for large groups of people and has really done us well. So I'm looking forward to trying him out with our Wildman group. So after you arrive on Friday, we will have an opening circle, and after opening circle, we will share a light meal together before we move into our evening program. And after we wrap up for the evening and everybody's gotten some good sleep, there's an opportunity at 7 o'clock Saturday morning to participate in a couple different activities. Some of the activities will be earth skills, and some of the activities will be more internal science. So you'll have at least two options both Saturday and Sunday morning at 7 o'clock to wake up and be in good company and go ahead and dive back into the experience. Then we will have our first meal together at 8, followed by our program for the day. And Saturday, there will be an opportunity for a few hours of some downtime, but in general, we will be either in small groups or be in ceremony together throughout most of the day. Again, part of that is, well, that is completely by design, but part of that is just to continue to foster that part of ourselves getting to know ourselves outside of our normal story, and so being an experience with the other men. But then we do have some downtime for those of you who really like that more introspective time to get sit by yourself somewhere or do some writing. And then many of you, that'll be an opportunity to connect with some of the other men that you maybe felt some charge with, or some sense of connectivity, or haven't had an opportunity to follow up on a charge you felt from someone throughout our experience together. We will have meals at fairly regular time on Saturday, lunch in the early afternoon. Dinner will be before we step into our evening program together, and the same pattern will follow suit on Sunday with the 7 o'clock opportunity in the morning to rise with one of the other Wildman support group team, and then we will be closing up our experience together around 3:30 on Sunday. Some of you I know are flying in, so that will give you an opportunity to take care of what you need to, and for those of you who are driving in from a good distance away, it's also once again another opportunity to begin making some tracks as needed. One of the things that we always ask men, especially Sunday morning, is just to really stay present with us. There's often such a great sense of camaraderie that by Sunday, being present for that last ceremony and our closure is always a great challenge. And men have really stepped to that experience and really shown up in a good way. I will say that most of you will walk away with a lot of really new friends, good brothers, and some of you will walk away with a new friendship that's really charged with the essence of who you are, and we will speak more into that on Sunday as well. Some of the other logistic pieces that are really important, especially with our new retreat center that we're going to be at. There's not a lot of infrastructure at this place. They have a full house. We will have access to a bathroom and a shower. However, we're going to ask men to bring biodegradable soaps and to bathe in the stream, because 50 plus men utilizing the spring there will tax the water pretty strong. We are also going to have a couple of Johnny on the spots for utilization throughout the weekend as well. So again, we're not stressing the water on the site. Things that you need to bring, again, it's on the gear list, but most important things I want to touch into is whether you are tent camping or one of the men who will be sleeping on either one of the porch or the loft beds. Make sure you bring your own bedding, whether it's a sleeping bag and a pad, or if that is sheets or just a sleeping bag for being on the bed. Crucial to have. Also, really crucial to have some sort of water bottle, something that you can bring with you from place to place so that you have some good drinking water available to you at all times. Another piece, just again because of the low infrastructure for the place, there are not really chairs there. So those of you who are not flying in, if you could plan to bring any camp chairs that you may have, that'd be really helpful, especially men here in Asheville. If you could bring a few camp chairs that maybe you either have at home or maybe that friends have, so that we can provide good feeding for everyone, especially for when we round up or for meal times. And I'm also really excited this year. The man who made the food is going to be making the food for us. He and another man who is joining us for the first time this year. They built these tables so that we can all sit at the same table together. At least most of us will be able to sit at the table together. They built it for a surprise birthday party for me back in July. So pretty excited about that because in the past we've had a lot of breaking up between little tables on porches and things like that. So this will give us an opportunity to come together in a good way over our meals. Let's see. This time of year, it may be cool at night, so make sure that you have some layers as a backup. And also, it usually is pretty dry this time of year here, but I would suggest, as it's the Southern Appalachian Mountains, to have some sort of rain gear. Last year, we got pounded, and it was a lot of fun, and we got really muddy. It was a lot of fun. But so I would just say, make sure you have at least a rain jacket. Let's see, other bits and pieces that are important to know about this land is, I highly suggest that you bring bug spray. We have never needed it in the past at any other location since this is a new location, and I've only spent maybe a total of 7 or 8 days of my life there. I want to just make sure that men are prepared in case we have mosquitoes. I don't really remember there being a lot of mosquitoes there last time other than up in the field near the stream, but it wasn't anything, nothing insurmountable. Also something, I think this is on the gear list as well, but also a nice option both for the air ceremony as well as the earth ceremony is to perhaps bring a blindfold. That can just be a do-rag, or it could be, eye shades, whatever works for you. Not required, but some men enjoy having those for the journey as well as for the earth ceremony. So first aid, we will have a pretty sizable first aid station or first aid kit there, and we will determine the best location to keep that and make that announcement during the open circle. And I think those are most of what I can think of to cover. James or Six or Gary, is there anything that I missed that you guys feel is important before we open it up for questions?
I think that's good for now, Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, and if anybody has any other questions, again, everyone has my email, so feel free to just shoot me another email, and we'll address it as needed in terms of gear logistics. But I guess at this point, does anyone have any specific questions that they feel are important to ask in front of everyone on the call?
Should we bring our own bowl or plate along with silverware?
I think that for those of you who are driving or are in the Asheville area, it might be a good idea. Patrick's the man who owns the property. We've been back and forth trying to have that last conversation on the phone just for last bits, and I'm not sure how much they have out there. From the last time we went out for a meeting, it sounded like they had a fair bit of dishes and utensils out there, but I think for those of us that are in the local area, if we could plan to bring our own, or maybe bring an extra set just in case a friend needs one. That would be really helpful. So it's just bringing a plate, a bowl, utensils, and probably a cup. But for those of you that are flying in, don't worry about it. We'll get you covered. Great question.
Thank you.
Jeremy, in case anyone has any questions about, being picked up from the airport or carpool, can you speak to that?
Great, James. Thank you. So a few men have mentioned both on Facebook as well as via email, wondering if there are carpools. I believe that there's a carpool coming down from the New York area. I know there's a carpool coming from Kansas. I'm not sure if there's a carpool yet from the Cincinnati area or from the Atlanta area. But if anyone is interested in carpooling who's coming in from out of town, just send me an email, and then I can get you connected with the appropriate person for that carpool. For people who are flying in, we will need whatever information if you're not planning on renting a car, and then we'll have to see if we can get one of the men that are on the support team to help out with that. So yes, let us know what's going on with that. It'll definitely be a lot more difficult if people are flying into other cities other than Asheville for that to be appropriate, but we can get that sorted. So if anyone either on the call or anyone that you know is flying in and still trying to sort that out, then go ahead and email James and I, and we'll see what we can do to get you guys set up.
How about guys?
We'll stay on after. I'll just say we'll stay on after if anyone wanted to just chat after the call today.
All right, and then somebody else spoke at the same time as you, James.
How about guys with diet restrictions?
Guys with what?
Guys with diet restrictions.
Diet restrictions. Okay, so with the most of you have completed the online registration form, which there's a section for checking diet restrictions. So if you have not completed that, you've probably gotten an email about once a week from me reminding you to do that, or I have not received it for some reason. It was lost in the shuffle. We almost have that in from everyone. If you have not registered yet, then that's just part of the registration process that you would do online. As you register, that will be one of the areas that you want to make sure that you check what you're able to eat. And if there's any further notes, we need to know that, just write it out in the specific specifications area below that. As of now, what we are looking at is creating like the meals will have a vegetarian vegan option. There will be an omnivores option, and then we also have a bunch of people who are lactose intolerant as well as gluten-free. So those are the three main groupings that we are accommodating for at this point. There are a few men whose diet restrictions are so great that they just end up bringing their own food. But there's only maybe 2 or 3 people that I know of at this point who are doing that. So otherwise, most people fit into those 3 categories that we have spoken with the cook about. Okay. Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Oh yeah, great. I had just forgotten that I had checked those things.
Okay.
Jeremy, this is James. I have one more logistical. This week, I will be sending out an email to all the men who are registered asking for a connection if you're interested. This is optional. During the Earth initiation, when you have a chance to really feel and face your death and to feel what that feels like, there's an opportunity to get some feedback from some loved ones in your life that could make the experience more customized and more personalized to you. So if you feel comfortable with me sending some, 1 to 3 people in your life who care about you and have good things to say about you, to send them just a little feedback form that then can be incorporated and used in that in a way that might deepen your experience, that will be available. But in order to do that, you'll need to actually respond to the email to let me know how to get in touch with people either through Facebook or email so that they can complete that form. So just be looking for that. It'll all be explained in the communication, but I wanted to give you a heads up of that.
Great. Thank you, James. All right. Anyone else have any additional questions?
This is Jeff. I was wondering if we can drive up to the area where we're camping to unload. We have heavy things to unload.
Most likely, they are not going to want that on the property, but there will be plenty of men to help carry things around.
All right.
Generally, so when you arrive, there will be like a check-in registration area, and there'll usually be a few men hovering around that area that are there to do that specifically to help show you to where the camping areas are and to help get the equipment in. And if you need more than one guy, I'm sure we can figure out a way to accommodate that. At some point,
I could bring a wheelbarrow.
That'd be great. Thank you, Stuart. And then at some point before we open up, we're going to shoo everybody back out so that we can welcome you in properly. So, but yeah, there'll be plenty of help there. Right. Any additional questions? Okay, great. Well, thank you, men, for taking this hour out of your time to join us this evening. And, like I said, if you do have any more questions, just shoot them over to us, and we will take care of answering those to the best of our capabilities. And I guess one last piece, too, to put in there. If I know there's at least one man on here who has not registered. If you have any friends who are still thinking about it, there are still a few spots left because we did actually have 2 guys drop out who had signed up months ago and just couldn't get their schedules to work. So we have a few more spots available. And if any man signs up in the next 24 hours, then he will be given the early bird rate. So that's something like if you know somebody that's kind of hanging and pending, just let them know that they have that opportunity. So that said, we are really looking forward to seeing you all out in the forest here in a couple of weeks and diving into this work together. And so I'm going to turn it back over to James to prime you a little bit.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. And so, men, I just want to invite you into the knowing that your Wildman weekend has begun. This marks the beginning of your Wildman weekend. And so I'd like to invite you to pay attention to what shows up at your door for the next couple weeks. Any dreams you may have, any signs from nature, especially any resistance to getting here. It's not unusual at all for men to experience my life just blew up and I'm like really busy, or some fear, or just some resistance in one way or another. And what we found is that resistance is not the enemy at all. Resistance actually shows us where the work is. And so I invite you into just exploring that and being open to that and really honoring what shows up for you on this journey of getting to the site and showing up. And what always happens is we always have a few guys that show up and like, oh man, I'm not sure that I was ready for this. And then that first night, they're so grateful they show up. And so just want to encourage you, if you need any support, reach out and let one of the facilitators know. We're happy to support you in that. And I'd like to hand this over to Gary, who's going to bless us. Grandfather, please bless us on our way out.
So the first thing I want to do is ask you all to bring a gift to the earth for this ceremony. And that gift that I would ask you to bring is like a handful of soil, either from your home or from one of your power spots. But bring a handful of soil to the mountain, to the earth there, so that you can give that as a gift. Now, have you still got the cord that connects you to the center of the earth? If you don't, find that cord again. And this is my closing prayer. Wildman, we've heard your call. We are here in flesh. We are here in bone to walk in a good way. We are here to be you. It's our time to represent you. We will bring you a gift. And we ask your blessing that we can take all of the things you have taught us and take it the next step further. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of our relations. Aho, mitakoyasan. Thank you, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
Aho, brothers.
Aho, thank you.
Good night, men.
Good night, man.